These my dollars make it hurt.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Deep Cover Podcast. I'm your host, Kerry Stevenson at Kerry1313 on Twitter. Shoot me a follow over there, as well as at Deep Cover Pod on Twitter. Shoot the podcast a follow over there as well. As always, shout out to my guys, my co-hosts, Mike Crawford, Chris Aguilera. On your way in, hit the subscribe, hit that like, help us kind of grow this channel so we can continue to bring this content to you on the free. Let's jump right into it, man. Week 16, I jinxed the lineup. At some point in the video last week, I talked about how I've been lucky to kind of avoid in-game injuries with this lineup. And in true 2021 fashion, in this ghetto fashion, both of my running backs got hurt. So Miles Sanders, James Robinson both left the game with injuries, didn't return. That sunk a lineup that really has some potential when you kind of look at it. Kirk Cousins only threw one TD, but 300-yard bonus at lower rostership, right at 20 points. We could have got some things done with that, depending on how the running back shaped out. Cooper Kupp, Jefferson, AB, they all went over 100 yards receiving, combined for 28 catches. They did what needed to be done. Barrios got there with a return TD, but nonetheless, he got there. But again, when both of your running backs go down, that's pretty much going to sink your ship. So, we're going to charge this one to the game, but we're going to move along to week 17 and try to get back in the good graces here. So, as I started kind of prepping for week 17, this one game, I've been trying to get off of this game, and specifically this one quarterback play, but just kept calling me, man. It kept calling me, and that's Dak Prescott. In this fast-paced, high-total game, just checks a lot of boxes. It's probably the best game on the slate, and I love the fact that it's a 4 p.m. game. So in this huge slate with all these games, it gives us a chance, to be a little bit more flexible as far as late swap opportunities as well. So love that added bonus of that in this game. So you know how I kind of do things. I like to try to zig when others zag, but I just couldn't get excited about anything else to the degree that I got excited about what I could do with this game. So no unwarranted zigging this week with this one. So uh, now what we have to understand is, actually, let me go ahead and plug him in. But what we have to understand about making this play is now I have to get creative with it. A lot of people are going to be on this game. Probably a lot of people are going to be on Dak, which I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's getting an overwhelming type of pub, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be among the highest roster QBs. So, and then, people are just going to check in on this game in general. So, we're going to have to get different with the way that we construct this. And I feel like that's something I can pull off. So let's go ahead and jump into the stack. Not going to shake the table with the first play in the stack. CD Lamb has the highest target share on the team. Gets most of the slot work. Gets more of the slot work than the other guys. And that's a spot where the Cardinals have really struggled to cover, that slot receiver position. The talent disparity when you're dealing with a guy like CD Lamb is going to be glaring. A lot of weeks he's just just a overall just mega talented guy. But it's going to stick out. It's going to stick out more this week with the Cardinals cornerback group. It's just a pretty clear mismatch there. So like going CD Lamb there as the first part of this stack. Now the obvious double stack option here is Dalton Schultz. 17 targets over the last 4 weeks, 4th on the team in red zone targets this season. But that's what everybody's going to do. People are going to plug in Schultz, with that second kind of stack position. Going to look at Christian Kirk and his, I believe it's 21 targets in the last 2 weeks. They're going to plug him in as the run back, close their laptop, and move on with their day. But we can't do that here. We're not gaining the edge by doing that. So when I started kind of really digging into the Cowboys numbers, and then looking at last week, um, their top 4 guys pretty much ran the same amount of routes last week. It was kind of eerie. Like they ran like essentially the same amount of routes, all 4 guys, and that's Lamb, Amari Cooper, Dalton Schultz, and Michael Gallup. So I'm looking at a game where the Cardinals are going to blitz and play man coverage if they remain true to form. The Cowboys have a good chance of getting Tyron Smith back, which will, obviously help their pass protection and uh, people have made it known, put out the numbers there as far as the splits when he's in and out. He makes a huge difference. They're playing against an offense in the Cardinals that's going to push back. It's not like the Washington situation last week. This Cardinals offense is going to push back. Looking at all those factors, man, let me take my chances on Michael Gallup here. So I'm gonna plug in Michael Gallup. Um, he to potentially get behind this defense or get a couple contested catches down the field, get those opportunities. I love the fact that he's 5th on the team in red zone targets, despite playing 5 or 6 fewer games than the rest of these guys on in front of him on the list. So I like to take my chances here on Michael Gallup as a ways to stay in this game but get different within the game. So plug in Gallup in there. Now, obviously, I'm going to run this back. And even though I'm not playing Dalton Schultz in this lineup, I can still correlate my tight end play with my quarterback. And that's going to go on the other side and go with Zach Ertz. So let's go ahead and get Zach Ertz plugged in here. Ertz, 24 targets in the last 2 games. He's 3rd on the team in red zone targets with 12, despite not even being in a Cardinals uniform until week 7. He's the most bankable run back we could go with there. Kirk is obviously a good play and a high explosive option, but as far as week in and week out bankable targets, I think Ertz is going to be a better option as far as that goes. And we'll see how it pans out. I think Ertz will probably be popular. We'll see who's going to be more popular, whether it be Ertz or Kirk. But I like correlating my tight end with my main stack. I like correlating my tight end with my quarterback, but I'm not doing it here. So, I like correlating the tight end with the main stat that I'm trying to get pulled off. So going Ertz there. Now let's get into these running back plays. Both of these are going to be of the kind of pivot variety. But outside of just pivots, I just like both of these plays like outright. I would go with these guys, however you slice it. So first, I'm going to go with Devin Singletary. He's assumed lead back duties with the Bills over the last few weeks, and his overall just usage profile looks great. 18 touch opportunities last week. He's getting the red zone looks, 6 red zone looks last week. Bills are heavily favored in this game, and Singletary would serve as a pivot to those Josh Allen stats that are going to be out there this week. So let's find that game. I probably passed it. Yep, top of the list. So we're going to go ahead and plug Singletary in here. And then with the second running back pick, I'm going with Eli Mitchell here. He's another guy that's going to act as a pivot on a more popular situation as far as Trey Lance getting his first start, being there at 4,800. Now this Eli Mitchell play does carry some risk. He hasn't played since week 13, so there's reason to question whether he jumps right back into a feature role. But on the other end of that, Kyle Shanahan loves this dude. This is a guy that broke his finger earlier in the year, missed 1 game, and came right back after that to 27 carries and 5 catches. So at 6K at a leverage point on a cheap Trey Lance, I like going Mitchell here. He wasn't getting a lot of targets early on in the year, but in his last 2 starts before he went out with injury, he had 9 targets in those 2 games. And then when you look at Trey Lance's 1 start this season, the running backs had a 20% target share. So all things that bode well for him. Now that one game was without George Kittle, so you do have to factor that in. But either way, I like Mitchell's chances of seeing most of the carries in the backfield and being able to put together at least a handful of targets. So uh, put all together in a great matchup, and I like Eli Mitchell's chances of putting together a strong game. So got the running back squared away there. I'm going to do a mini game stack here and plug in Brandon Cooks in this last wide receiver spot. So let's go ahead and get him in the lineup here. All right, got him in. And with Cooks, man, one of the most favorable recent adjustments we've seen around the league to me has been the Texans starting to play Cooks more in the slot with Nico Collins and Chris Conley on the outside. Something that just strengthens Brandon Cooks's floor, gives him more high percentage looks, and now he's going up against the 20th ranked pass defense DVOA, um, and things look good for him. Now he's coming off COVID, so that carries risk. You can't just assume. Um, conditioning or whether he's going to jump right back into every down role. But the way I look at things, I love the correlation with the Eli Mitchell play. I love the 29% target share. I love the matchup, like the price point. So with all those things in mind, especially the correlation, I'm willing to take the chance on that aspect of things as far as how much he's used coming back from COVID. So, that'll be something to monitor, but I think it's a shot worth taking there. So, got that correlation play there. Now we got to fill out this flex spot, and I'm going to go to another kind of pivot play, and I'm going to Kansas City, and I'm going to plug in Daryl Williams in this flex spot. Now, Daryl Williams, again, like I said, he's kind of a leverage play on those Mahomes stats, but he probably should be considered as part of those Mahomes stats. If you look at those 5 games this season that Clyde Edwards-Helaire missed to injury this week, that was week 6 through 10. Daryl Williams averaged 5.4 targets per game. And that's not a huge number, but it kind of is a huge number in the offense where it's mostly Kelsey, it's mostly Tyreek, and the other guys kind of get in where they fit in. Looking at trying to put a stat together with that group. uh, you know, Pringle did some things obviously last week, and McCole Hardman did some things obviously last week. But that was on the back of Tyreek Hill not having his full complement of snaps coming off of COVID. That's not something that these guys do week in and week out. Pringle would be the closest you would come to as far as a stacking option outside of the big two guys there. But I would feel a lot better about Daryl Williams if he's getting 5 to 6 targets on top of the rushing word. So um, again, this is something where people are going to point to Jared McKinnon being just activated or Derek Gore, and they'll point to them as problems. But if you look at both of those guys, McKinnon hasn't played since week 11, and he saw his most playing time in that same stretch that I just mentioned, the week 6 through 10. That's when McKinnon saw his most action, and that was clearly behind um, Daryl Williams. And then if you look at Derek Gore, a guy who made some hay last week, made some plays, he did that all of that with the game out of hand, playing against Pittsburgh. So another guy that's clearly behind Daryl Williams. So hopefully these two kind of pseudo roadblocks, I would call them, they keep Daryl Williams rostership kind of under the radar. And I love making this play this week. So got Daryl Williams in there at the flex. Last spot here, we're gonna go with defense, and let me find them here. I'm going with the Miami Dolphins. $2,800. I think they are the best value you're gonna find at defense this week, and I'm riding with a defense that tormented me in 2 of my dynasty league semifinals last week. One matchup I was facing the Dolphins defense, and we know how that went. with Ian Book at quarterback for the Saints. The other one I had Tua in, and I needed 21 points from Tua. Only ended up getting 15 because the Saints offense just could never push the Dolphins defense um, at all, and the Dolphins just stayed in a keep away mode the whole game. Played it very conservatively, and they just didn't really need Tua to do very much. So still a little salty about that, but hey, I'm gonna try to channel that into something good this week for this DraftKings lineup. Looking at the specifics of the game, this is a Titans offensive line that still struggles to protect the passer. They're down to just AJ Brown as their only kind of bankable weapon. And this Dolphins defense, man, during this 7-game stretch has been tremendous, albeit against shaky quarterbacks. But hey, you got to play who's on your schedule. But at the end of the day, at 2,800, I think they have a tremendous amount of upside, and their knack on defense for disguise and making things look ways that they aren't, and turning that into big play opportunities is something I like a lot. So Dolphins, especially if they stay, if they're kind of lower roster, not among the top 3 or so defensive plays, they're going to be a defense I'm gonna play a lot. So that'll close it out here, man. Again, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the lineup, what you like, what you dislike. Good luck in week 17, and go out there and get you some bread.